Everyone I speak to has the same problem. They bounce down their mix, they play it back next to something on Spotify, and it sounds thin, it sounds quiet. And frankly, it sounds a bit rubbish. And they do what we all do, they reach for the limiter and start pushing. Crank the input up, push it harder, and somehow impossibly, it gets worse. Here's the thing, your mix isn't quiet. Your gain staging has been wrong since the moment you opened that session. I want to be honest with you about something because this is a mistake I made myself for an embarrassingly long time. A few years back, I had a mix I could not get loud. Sounded great in the room, decent low end, nice top end, everything sitting where I wanted it. But every time I pushed the master limiter, it turned into mush. So I convinced myself I needed a better limiter. I spent 2 weeks reading forums, watched probably 15 tutorials, nearly bought a plugin I absolutely did not need. Then I pulled up my VU meters on the tracks. Every single track in that session was hitting somewhere between -2 and 0 dBFS before processing. I've been stacking gain on top of gain since track 1. By the time the signal got to the master bus, it was already a mess. The limiter wasn't the problem. It never was. Today, I'm going to give you 5 reasons your mix isn't loud enough, and none of them require you to buy a single thing. Right, let's get into it. Right, number 1, and this is the big one. Every track in your session should be averaging somewhere around -18 dBFS before you touch a single plugin. Not peaking at -18, averaging at -18. That gives your plugins headroom to work in, that gives your buses headroom, and that gives your master bus somewhere to go. Most of us open per session, record something, it comes in peaking at -6, and we just get on with it. Then we add an EQ. The EQ adds a bit of gain, then a compressor, adds a bit more, a saturation plugin, a bit more, reverb send, bit more, and by the time we finished a channel strip, we've added 4 or 5 dB of gain that we didn't mean to add. Do that across 24 tracks and you've got a master bus that's already clipping before you've even loaded a limiter. The fix is dead simple. Before you do anything else in a session, before plugins, before automation, before any of it, go through every single track and pull the fader down or trim the input until your meters are sitting around that -18 mark. It takes about 10 minutes and it will change your mixes immediately. I wish someone had told me this in 1987. I'm telling you now. Quick one, before we get to number 2, if this is landing, hit subscribe. I put these out every week specifically for people like us. Over 40, home studio, trying to get a pro sound without losing our minds or our savings. Right, back to it. Number 2, and this is where I'm going to spend a bit of time because there's more confusion about limiters than almost anything else in home studio mixing. And most of it is completely unnecessary. First, a quick word on what a limiter actually does. It's just a compressor with an infinite ratio. And what that means in plain English is this. You set a ceiling and nothing gets above that ceiling. Full stop. It's a brick wall. The ceiling, sometimes called the output ceiling or true peak ceiling, should be set at -1 dBFS, not 0, -1. And here's why. When audio gets converted for streaming, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, there's a process called intersample peak clipping that can push your audio above 0, even if your limiter says it's topped out at 0. -1 gives you a safety margin. Set it and leave it there. Quick word on LUFS or LUFS before we go any further because it comes up a lot and it throws people completely. LUFS stands for loudness units relative to full scale, which tells you absolutely nothing, I know. Here's the thing, it's just a measurement of how loud your track sounds on average to the human ear. Not the peak, not the single loudest moment, the average perceived loudness across the whole track. Think of it like the average temperature of a room, not the hottest spot next to the radiator. Streaming platforms use LUFS to make sure everything plays back at a similar volume, so nobody's track blasts you out of your seat and the next one whispers at you. -14 LUFS is roughly where they set the dial, and that's all it is. Right, so that's what LUFS is and why streaming cares about it. Now, here's how you actually set the limiter correctly. Streaming platforms, Spotify, YouTube, all of them, normalize loudness to around -14 LUFS, which means if you smash your mix to -7 LUFS, trying to make it loud, Spotify is going to turn it down, and a heavily limited mix that's been turned down sounds worse than a mix that was mastered sensibly in the first place. So you've done all the work for nothing. You're not making it louder for the listener, you're making it worse. So open up your limiter on the master bus, set your output ceiling to -1. Now watch the gain reduction meter. That's the meter that shows you how hard the limiter is working. You want to see about 1 to 3 dB of gain reduction on the loudest parts of your mix, maybe 4 on the absolute peaks, and that's it. If you're seeing 6, 8, 10 dB of gain reduction, the limiter is telling you something. It's telling you your mix is too hot going into it. So go back, fix the gain staging on your tracks, fix the levels on your buses. The limiter should be the last tiny polish, not the thing holding everything together. Okay, think of it like this. A limiter is the last coat of varnish on a piece of furniture. It's not there to hide the scratches. If you've got scratches, you've got to sand them out first, then you varnish. And one more thing on limiters, one limiter on the master bus. That's the only place it belongs. If you've got limiters on your drum bus, your vocal bus, your guitar bus, and your master bus, take them all off except the master. Every one of those limiters is eating into your dynamics before your signal even gets there. By the time it reaches the master bus, there's nothing left. There's no punch, no transient, and no life. Just a wall of sound that sits there. Number 3, and this one is the invisible thief. Your sub bass, everything below about 30 Hertz, is almost completely inaudible on most speakers and headphones, but it's using up headroom. It's there on the meter, it's there on the waveform, and it's pushing the limiter without adding anything anyone can actually hear. Same goes for low mid buildup on guitars, keys, synths, room mics. All of that sits between 80 and 200 Hertz, and it stacks up into a wall of mud that your limiter then has to deal with. The fix is almost embarrassingly simple. High pass filter on everything that isn't carrying low end. Everything except your kick drum and your bass. Guitars, high pass at 100 Hertz. Keys, 80 to 100. Acoustic guitars, sometimes as high as 150. Room mics, even higher. Cut the stuff nobody can hear, and your mix will suddenly have room to breathe and room to get loud. Number 4, I've said this before and I'll keep saying it until people actually do it. Turn it down. When you mix loud, your ears lie to you. Everything sounds fuller, punchier, more aggressive than it actually is, so you think it's sorted. You bounce it down, stick it on your phone, and it's got no weight at all. The fix is simple. Mix at conversation volume. If you can talk comfortably over it, you're in the right ballpark. And before you bounce, do one final check, even quieter than that. If it still sounds punchy and full at low volume, it'll translate on anything. If it falls apart when you turn it down, that's the mix telling you there's something wrong. Listen to it. I know, you're thinking, that's it? Turn it down a bit? I've been making music for 30 years. I think I know how loud to mix. So did I, mate. So did I. And number 5, this one takes 30 seconds and most people never do it, which is a shame because it's the one that changes everything immediately. Find a commercial track in the same genre as the one you're mixing, something you know well, something that sounds the way you want yours to sound, and import it into your DAW on a new track. Match the loudness, use a loudness meter, not your ears, then A/B between your mix and the reference. Just press play on one and then the other. You've been mixing in isolation, your ears have adapted to your session, they've forgotten what loud and clear actually sounds like. A reference track reminds them. And here's what you're listening for. Don't compare the top end, don't compare the low end, just ask yourself one question. Does my mix feel like it's sitting in the same room as the reference? Or does it feel like it's in a different building? That's the ear training right there. Do it every mix, every time. The difference will be obvious, possibly uncomfortable, but that's the point. I know you're thinking, that's it? That's the big finish? Import a song and press play? Try it, then tell me. Right, 5 reasons your mix isn't loud enough. Gain staging too hot from the start, limiting everything instead of just the master, low end eating your headroom, mixing too loud and not referencing against anything. None of it costs money and all of it makes an immediate difference. Tell me in the comments which one of these you've been guilty of. I've got a strong feeling it's number 1 for most of you. And I promise, no judgment, I was doing it for an embarrassingly long time. I'll see you in the next one.